you got any kind of knee problem, you know that kneeling hurts. When you're gardening on a scale like mine, 2,500 square foot garden, you're gardening in the ground, so you're working off the ground. You got to figure out a way to do every little trick you can do to get the most out of your body without hurting it. Hey, it's Greg here, maritimegardening.com. I'm just out here. It's about 5:45 in the morning. Beautiful morning. No flies yet. I'm enjoying it, drinking it in, and just getting some stuff done in the garden. And I thought I would do a video. I've had people ask me to talk about this. Just, how do you do all that stuff, as you age forward in life, right? I turned 50 this year. I'm in reasonably good shape for a 50-year-old, and of course 50 isn't that old, but for anyone that's watching that's 40, 50 ain't no 40, and 40 ain't no 30, and so on and so forth. And somewhere between 40 and 50, yeah, the machine does not want to do things. Yeah, it's a different game. It's a different equation. So I thought I'd talk a little about that, just how I sort of work around all that, because when I was younger, you just come out and do it. And now I have to do it in a certain way, or I can get irritate a sciatic nerve. I can do something to my shoulder where I'm all like this for basically on any given day. If I do anything wrong, I could do something that causes me a great amount of pain and discomfort for about 2 weeks, that's, or worse, right? Or months, right? Pull your back out and stuff like that. I actually got a really stiff back this morning. So anyway, I thought I'd talk a little bit about that, how I use my body in the garden. So let's get out of here. I'm just gonna do a little bit of gardening and bring the camera along and sort of show you how I go about doing that. All right, let's go. All right, so here I've got a carrot garden and a little bit of weeds here, even despite it being mulched. So a little bit of work to do here. And one thing some of you might not know is that I've had a bad back my whole life. I injured it very badly when I was 16, and it's just, I'm 6'4", so exceptionally tall people tend to be prone to back problems, I guess. But I hurt it badly when I was 16. It's never quite been. It's always been easy to injure. Let's put it that way. I've always had to be careful and take care of myself, right? To stay in shape, reasonably, stay moving, stay exercised. But also, in addition to that, about 3 years ago, I blew out the bursa in my left knee, and this knee has never been right since. If you watch a lot of my gardening videos, post, I don't know when that happened, 2017, 2018, you'll notice I'm almost always kneeling on my right knee. Very rare you'll see me kneel on my left knee. But I don't always kneel as well. So when I'm doing something like this weeding, I usually start off with a wide stance, almost like I'm kind of squatting. And I do as much as I can until, I'm weeding here, but I'm not getting everything. I'm just doing like what I call quick weeding or lazy weeding, right? But anyway, I have a sort of wide stance, almost like the way a sumo wrestler would be, positioned for wrestling, right? And I do that for, I don't know, about a minute or two. You can hold that so long, right? And then, now that I'm close to here, I'll sort of, I think this is called like the Asian squat or something like that. So I'll do this stance for a while. This is a hard one to do if you've never done it. You probably have to work your way up to it. It's a very natural way for a human being to squat, but if you don't do it, you just end up falling backwards all the time. And it's different than, you can be on your toes like this, but this particular squat, you're actually on your heels and you're sort of sitting like this. And there's people that can hold this indefinitely, right? So I've done a lot of reading, and this is supposed to be good for you, so I do this one and try to hold that. And then another one I do is I just sort of bend over with my legs straight, but again my feet are spread out wide. Maybe you don't need to do this if you're not tall, but I'll do this sort of thing, right, for a little while, and I'm constantly changing the position, right? I'm doing everything in a sort of accelerated way here, but then I'll switch to one knee. You can see I'm kneeling on my left knee, but I actually have a kind of like a knee support on. I'm going to show you that in a second. So I'll switch to left knee, right? Then I'll switch to right knee, right? Just constantly changing what I'm doing to my body so it's not the same thing the whole time. Notice I'm only reaching halfway across the bed here. Right? Then maybe you go to both knees. Right? Then go back to standing over like this. I like this one here because I can use, you know, both hands, right? Or I can use one hand to sort of support myself. All right. And now we're on the other side. So that's the general process. I have about, I don't know what that was, 5 different stances I take. Sort of like a straight leg bent over, which you wouldn't think is, and some people would say that's not good for you, but I find if you practice it, you keep yourself in shape. With your legs straight bent over like this, you get a heck of a hamstring workout. And it just gives your, when you got your legs straight and you're bent over, you're basically not using these muscles at all, so it gives those muscles a break. Of course, you're using your back, right? Right. We do that for a few minutes. Then you switch to something like this, where you're actually using your thigh muscles to keep yourself up, right? Then you switch to that Asian squat or whatever it's called. I think this is a yoga thing. I'm not quite sure. Right? Then you go back to kneeling on one knee. Right, then you kneel on the other knee. Then you can kneel on both knees. You'll notice what I've done here with the weeding is that I've just, I haven't meticulously pulled every weed out. I've just, some of them have been pulled out and some of them have just been almost like there was a goat eating them, right? You know, you let a goat loose in your garden, it's gonna eat everything, but you can just sort of do this to your weeds and that'll bring them down. Right now at this point I should put a nice fresh mulch over all of this. And the slugs and snails and worms and everything will just, you know, all this weeds I've pulled will just rot and turn into compost. I just have to get some, mulch. Had a heck of a time getting mulch this year. I was not as active in stockpiling it in the fall as normal. Anyway, in addition to all that, I've got these knee pads on, right? These ones are called rock tape. So these are relatively inexpensive. I mean, they're knee pad. They're very good pad in the front, but also there's knee support around the side. Sometimes I get, you know, various. It's another thing, just sort of work and hurt, right? There's times when I get knee pain. I find if I manage my weight, the knee pain goes down. But if, you know, there's a certain weight I like to be in. If I'm above that weight, I seem to have more knee pain than normal. So the trick is just not staying under the fridge in the late hours of the night. But anyway, when I'm struggling with knee pain, or just times like this time of year when I'm very, very active out in the garden, I keep these in the garage. I was in Princess Auto and I saw these. I've got a couple like really high-end, expensive knee braces that I have up in my bedroom. And if I've got any real knee problems, I'll put those on. But I keep these ones in the garage, right? I'll show you which ones they are. Yeah, they're called Assassins, right? So these are very inexpensive, right? But they got a knee pad in the front, but they're also a knee brace, right? So they don't work as well as the ones you strap on and tighten up. But because they're inexpensive, it can just be that extra pair you have, like almost like in your gardening shed. That sort of thing. They're easy to put on. So they function, because they got a lot of padding in the front. They function as a knee pad, but they also function as a knee brace. So when I'm out here in the morning, I tend to come out in the morning for about 10 or 15 minutes. Any day it's nice. I like to be out like this time of day because the flies aren't so bad. And I work very fast and very hard, very quickly before breakfast. Right, my wife's going to call me for breakfast any minute now. So when I'm working like that, I'm not always paying attention to how I'm moving, that sort of thing. So with these knee braces on, there's just less risk of injury, less risk of tearing or hurting something, right? So yeah, these Assassins that I got at Princess Auto, I think they're just a great thing to have kicking around. Extra pair of a little bit of extra protection and a knee pad. I mean, I usually have something foamy or something like that kicking around to kneel on, but I don't always have that with me, so it's nice to just be wearing the knee pads. If you've got any kind of knee problem, you know that kneeling hurts. But if you don't have raised beds that are 3 feet high all over the place, which are very expensive to put together, when you're gardening on a scale like mine, 2,500 square foot garden, you're gardening in the ground, so you're working off the ground. You got to figure out a way to help your body do all of that stuff. As long as you're able, as long as it's, not against doctor's orders sort of thing, staying active, working with it. You do every little trick you can do to get the most out of your body without hurting it. So anyway, just a quick video on, getting it done, maybe finding ways to work a little bit hurt, or just, working in your garden when your body's, protesting a little bit. Not in a way that messes you up, but in a way that allows you to sustain, extend, etc., right? Some different positions and stances to take, and just the idea of not holding one position for any length of time, right? You're squatting, then you're bent over, you're kneeling on this knee, then you're kneeling on this knee, then you're kneeling on both your knees. I think the worst thing you can do in the garden is actually sit on your bum, bent right over. For me anyway, I mean, it's intuitively you think, well, that's a nice relaxing thing to do, sit down, but it puts stress on your back like you wouldn't believe. So I find all the different positions I just showed you, using all of them, not just one of them, right? Switching position to position to position, switching often is the way to go. And having some kind of knee brace is really good if you've got any kind of knee issues, right? Because the alternative is for me to bring this entire garden up 3 feet. The cost of that is extraordinary, right? And I mean, I've done videos on how raised beds aren't necessarily, the best way to go if you're trying to have a productive garden. Everything wants to be in the ground. Everything in nature grows in the ground. It's not that you can't make raised beds work, but when you're growing in the ground, everything's working for you. Right? The plants are where they want to be, and everything works. So the challenge as you get older, and I'm speaking here as a 50-year-old man. I know it's worse when you're 60 or 70, and I'm sure there's some 70-year-olds that are in better shape than me. But the challenge as you're getting older is how do you get your body down to the ground, and how do you sustain that, right? So one thing is knee brace, if you've got a knee problem. Another thing is knee pads, using lots of different positions, right? All that sort of stuff. So just a quick video on getting out there, getting it done, even if you're not 100%, in a way that doesn't make you even less than 100%, right? So you can sustain it, so you can get your garden in, so you can, get it all, make everything happen when it needs to happen, when it's the best time to make it happen. So I hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, guess what? I've started a newsletter at maritimegardening.substack.com. I'll be putting out one article a week. That's 52 articles a year. The articles expand on ideas that I mention on my videos and podcasts, and every article has a read-aloud option, so you can just listen to me read it if you're busy doing something else. You can subscribe for $30 a year or try it for $5 a month and see what you think. It's a great way to help support everything I'm doing here. But hey, there's also free content too, so if you just want to read the free stuff, that's fine too. As always, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.